During the great question and answer session yesterday with David Robinson, I mentioned in the chat that now that it's been a year, you know, that it might be best not to do the search backwards. Well, I didn't mean that. It's not an insulting term. But first, let me look at this. Before I zoom back down there, just a reminder about the distances that Daniel Robinson could have easily covered. Okay, the fact that he wasn't found near the Jeep, and they've searched it well, that could be considered cleared. And it's important because not only did he get out of the Jeep, take off his clothes, so it wasn't like he was injured and dying or incoherent and then staggered, a few hundred yards and fell down in the desert. No. The fact that he hasn't been found shows that bigger distances than what you think could have been covered by him. So just a reminder on Kenny Veach. Now, with a Kenny Veach search, you had no choice but to do it backwards. The phone was found up here, and he's likely up here. You had no choice. There's no way, unless you get a helicopter, the proper way to not do it backwards would be to land up there and then search. So you have the issue that this is only 4 miles up to the cell phone at the mine. And that's going uphill at altitude. Well, that's easy 2 hours for anybody. A person hiked back down because he saw someone getting near his truck, and he made it down in 45 minutes. So keep that in mind. Now let's go back to the area of interest for Daniel Robinson, and why I mentioned that it's probably best not to do it backwards by going back to where the Jeep was. That's already been covered. And since you can't search every square inch of desert, there is no other choice but to go to possible areas of interest. And so what I meant by don't do it backwards, that now that this has been cleared, they've searched up the washes, people have driven down here, searched under every bush, this could be considered cleared. So that shows that he did not only get out undressed, possibly changed into shorts and his hiking boots, but he actually could have made it quite far. Once again, this distance from here to here, this area of interest, because he likely was going to the mountain, something up high, not go down low and head right back down into civilization, or go over here and cross the road and go to the White Tank Mountains. The odds are that he would have headed up here. That's not far. It's not far. This is only, let's say 5 miles from here to here. And so if people stage down here where the Jeep is, would they get to an area of interest or headed towards it after a couple miles, most people are going to be done. They're going to be done. And so they reach the search area of interest, they're burned out, hot. So right at the possible correct area, they get there. If to make this 5 miles, they're going to be tired when they get there. So what I meant about don't do it backwards is that actually this is different from Kenny Veach. You can drive right here to ground zero to clear this area of interest. You could park there. Canal is there. It has fences along it, but Daniel certainly would have known about it because it's a famous canal, and especially if headed up over here, which I've circled as like an area of interest, he could have fallen or whatever. And so here's the point. See here, this is Aguila Road, Aglia, which Spanish for eagle. So anybody on the highway can travel right there, pull off the road, park, let's call it the staging area, and they're right at ground zero, all fresh and ready to search this area of interest. The canal itself could be an area of interest. That if he got up there, first of all, he could be up here. This is low altitude and relatively level. That he could easily have been there in 2.5, 3 hours. And there's these crossovers. Here's where the wash crosses over. And so if life or death, he could have even accessed the aqueduct water. He had to have known about it, because that's his job, is to check the water. So that's what I'm saying, that to keep going back, and the staging area is right at the Jeep, that's already been cleared. So a good option would be to go to the next likely area of interest, especially if he was headed towards the mountain. He wouldn't have headed back down. He could have. Usual disclaimer. He could have went anywhere. I don't know that. But the odds are that he would have headed over towards this mountain, which he knew was there, especially him being a geologist. So this I would consider this to be an extreme area of interest, especially with these riparian areas. The canal is built up. It's built up. It's not dug down into the ground like what you think. It's built up with berms along the side for the purpose of trapping the water. So you have these nice riparian areas that offer shade. He could have took a nap, you know, whatever. You have all these nice riparian areas that should be cleared. But that's it. Let's see what else. But that's what I meant by I lean against doing the search backwards. Instead, a person, private people, could go up on their own, pull up here, off the road, park, do whatever you want, and you're right at ground zero. As a matter of fact, if he was headed towards this mountain, that you'd be right there. You'd be right there, and possibly do a search, go along, clear the area. He could have fallen. He could be up here, or he could have fallen. But it's a tough one, because he wasn't hiking to be rescued, and he wasn't trying to set a world record to make sure he would not be found. You know, like Kenny Veach possibly did. That he would have, a top area of interest would be he would have headed, like they all do, to get up high, not down low. But anyway, I beat that one to death, so.